What is going on, YouTube? It is Primitive here, and today I'm going to be bringing you a little practice set that I had between myself and my boy Chris. This is going to be me playing 3 Musketeers on the right. This is the list that I was working on stream the other day, so some of you may be familiar with it. And then on the left is going to be the Gabumon list that me and Chris have also been working on very much on stream. So I'm going to go ahead and swing with Sound Birdmon. I'm going to go ahead and trash the Trump Sword. I don't get to gain the memory because of the Madoki Betamon, but I still want to get the card in the trash. And then when the Sound Birdmon does go down, I get to draw one, discard one, and I'm going to play the mat, bring the Sound Birdmon back, so that way I can start to recycle it some more later if I want to. Gonna go ahead and hit that Howling Memory Boost so Chris can go ahead and boost up and play the Octomon. It will go down, and now we have a mat on board, so now we have to be worried about the bond and all that coming out, and I want to be trying to put my opponent as little memory as possible, so gonna have to try and continue with the rookie rush strategy right now, just because my opponent does have so much aggression that's going to be coming out with the potential bond, which we're going to see come out right now. They're going to be able to gain one, draw one with the mat, and then they're going to swing, but they're going to hit the Trump Sword on the first swing after trashing the last of their security. So now I'm in a pretty good position. My opponent did have the means to go in for game there if the bond didn't hit the Trump Sword. Considering hitting the Trump Sword is fairly low, the ability for them to go in for 3 checks and then swing with the Madoki and then boost up and go with the Lobomon was going to be game there, but they had to go for that play or else they were going to lose next turn regardless. So had to go up for the bond and see if they could get through, but was able to hit the Trump Sword, which is mostly this deck's win condition versus bond, is hitting that Trump Sword in security, because if not, the bond is just a little bit too fast. The 3 Musketeers list is just a bit too slow to keep up, and so I'm going to have to try and go for a rookie rush style build and then hope that my security can pull me through. And right now we don't see the rookies like I did game 1, but I am going to be able to get a couple of champions out, and getting the Deputymon out is really good because that means I can potentially go into the Gundramon, as well as with the Vilemon I was able to pop a Digimon, potentially go up into that Rebellymon if I want to. Gonna go and swing and draw one, discard one, and then mill 3 with the Impmon, so that way I can start to get some more stuff in trash, get a little bit more cycle going, and try to find the things that I need. Gonna go with the Rebellymon, gonna trash the heavy bullet showering there, so that way I have blocker and retaliation, so that way my opponent is less incentivized to swing in unless they want to go for the bond, go for some hammer sparks and go for bond. But if they don't do that, then I will be able to be a little bit safe for a turn and save some of my security. But I no longer have the blocker on the Rebellymon anymore, so now that my opponent's got a bunch of Digimon on board, if they go into my bond next turn, I could just be in a lot of trouble. They'll be able to bottom deck a lot, as well as be able to just swing in for a lot of checks. So I'm going to go in for the Gundramon, put my opponent as minimal memory as I can. They will be able to go to the 3 with the mat, but by putting them at 3, that means they have a lot lower chance of being able to go bond into a hybrid, and I get a couple blockers out on the field because I can go to the Gundramon, play down the nail bones, so that way I can get out a couple more cards, get the Gazimon to shut off some of the potential memory gain from the hammer sparks, as well as getting another blocker with that Vilemon. And then the Gundramon being a blocker that can't get bottom decked is going to be nice. Now my opponent's going to go ahead and just go in for the bond here, going to bottom deck the Vilemon. I'm going to go ahead and let them swing in here. I don't want to block just yet, hoping that I hit some security cards. I'm going to be able to go and hit the Fly Bullet, pop one of the Gabumon, but it might be a little bit too late if my opponent has 2 hammer sparks. They'll be able to swing in. I'll block here, but if they do have 2 hammer sparks, they can just go in for a Lobomon here and then be able to swing in with the Grizzlymon for game. But by not going in for it right away, I have to assume that my opponent doesn't have it, and we're going to see them just go for the Davis, go ahead and hit a Gabu out of there, and then their bond will go down. Now I only have 1 security check, but I have the Gundramon, but my opponent is a position where next turn, no matter what, they could go into bond, and then all they need is 1 hammer spark to be able to go into a Lobomon, but they don't even necessarily need the bond there. They could just swing in with the Gabu, go into a Lobo, and then go in with the Grizzly, and unless I get something in security, I will be not having enough defense to be able to survive, so I have to go in with the Beelstarmon here, so that way I can go in for the Gavelschformer there and play the Beelstar down, only putting them at 4, which is good enough, but now I am really still just on a clock. Next turn I'll be able to potentially swing in for 3 checks considering the Gazimon, but my opponent has 3 checks, so unless I get a way to bring out a Genkaku Promote with Rush, then I don't think I'm going to be able to grab this game here. I have to just hope that my opponent doesn't have the cards that they need to win this game, being both bond or any hybrids, but with how many there are in the deck, the chances are just very unlikely likely. And then now my opponent's going to Cocytus Breath, get rid of my blocker, and so now I have even less defense. Now my opponent really just needs one single hybrid to be able to win. Doesn't matter what's going to be in security, my opponent can swing with the Gabu and then go into a hybrid, so I'm going to have to try to get out some blockers here, so have to go in with the Zwart here so that way I can get out 2 Mechanorimon, which is going to force my opponent to go into the bond, and we're going to see my opponent do exactly that. I can't really play around it, they're likely just going to have it anyway, but now they're going to be able to swing, unsuspend, and bottom deck Mechanori. Normally I would block there because the Mechanori is going to get bottom decked anyway, but my only win condition to win that game there was to be able to hope that that one security check that they checked was going to be the Trump Sword, and then if my opponent hit the Trump Sword there, then I would have been able to have the Mechanorimon on board still, so that way when the hybrids come out I would have been able to block them and unsuspend. But that wasn't the case. I had to play to my outs, but unfortunately there I just didn't have the cards to get it. But now getting into game 3, we can see that I am getting a little bit more aggressive here. Gonna be able to swing in with the Soundbirdmon and actually get the check and the memory gain now that there is no Madoki Betamon on the field, but I am going to swing in and hit Davis, which is super unfortunate because I really needed my opponent to not hit that Davis, because with them having that out, I can't choke them anymore. Now they're going to be able to go up to 4 with the mat, and there's nothing I can really do about it. They're going to swing so they can draw with the Upamon there. Going to go down to the Deputymon, which is fine, but I do have the Gazimon on board, which is nice to be able to make it so that my opponent's not going to be able to go up with any Hammer Sparks or anything, but we're just going to see them go ahead and play down a mat, and then with a little bit of thinking they are going to just go ahead and follow that up with another Davis, so that way they can get multiple Tamers on board, as well as potentially search out some hybrids. Going to look to see if they need the bond, decide to take the Grizzlymon as just some sort of defense here, and I'm sitting at 3. My hand isn't looking too great. I just have a lot of level 7 option cards in my hand, which is a very big problem with this deck. It does have the potential to brick, so I'm going to go ahead and trade here and then just go in with the Nail Bones, so that way I can bring back both the Gazimon that I just traded and a Genkaku Promote that's in my trash. I would have preferred to have a blocker, but with this way I get an attack off the board as well as be able to get the Gazimon back on the board. I do give my opponent 4 instead of 3, but at this point it doesn't really matter. Now they have 3 mats and they're going to be able to promote, gain 3, draw 3, and then they have the blue memory boost, so they are setting up to have a very powerful turn where they can go into bond with the BT6 Gabu and then go in for multiple hybrid checks if the bond does go down. So going to have to just go in and get the checks that I can here now and just hope that my security is strong enough to get me through this next turn. I will need something like a Trump Sword, or I'll need for my opponent to just not be able to really have the cards that they need with the hybrids. If they have the bond and just the bond, that's fine, I'll be able to survive, but if they have the multiple hybrids, I am going to be in trouble. So we're going to see them go for the bond, trash the rest of their security, bottom deck my Gazi, so now they can gain more memory, go in, unsuspend one more time, and then now it's suspended, so the Trump Sword is not going to matter, and now they're going to be able to go into the Lobomon, swing, and then Hammer Spark, and go in for another Lobomon, and that's going to be it. But this is very much how this matchup usually goes. This deck is just so slow for the bond that if your security isn't strong enough, you really aren't going to be able to put up too much of a fight. But I did try my best. I have been trying to refine this deck a bit, so if you are interested in looking at this list, I do have it posted in our Discord if you want the 3 Musketeer list, and then I should be having the Gabumon list up here soon once me and Chris get some more refining going on in there. But with that being said, if you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe, because I'm going to be having a bunch of BT6 content coming for you now that I am back done from my cold. So I hope you have a great day. Peace out.